Thank you, Chris. Roll call. You
Okay,
pretty much got them
we've
written
done,
down.
yep, we've got it all down. We have a quorum. On Zoom is Gus and since those who can't see it, Gus and George.
Can we use another member on the building committee?
Always.
We can always use them as a member.
Just
Andrew
pay the
now.
students.
Yeah.
I think 7 years of this guy, he probably has.
All right.
Baby steps.
The minutes. Anybody read the minutes?
I
Everybody?
have, I move to accept them as written.
And I second.
And Monica second. Very good. Anybody opposed?
Can I oppose? No.
All right. Our status of major repairs, you know?
Okay, number one, I'm happy to report that all of the structural repairs have been completed on the upper stairs walkways.
Right.
Okay. Yes, hygiene.
Oh, thanks.
And
Two things, was your receipt?
okay, thanks.
Okay.
And
We get to keep that, right?
yeah,
Thank you.
and he's gonna make a little talk for us, and
Oh, okay.
and so the
You need a chair? No.
anticipation time of almost 2 years, we've been undercut it by almost a year finishing the project, other than the touch-ups. Secondarily, the at the price,
Cost.
almost 2/3 less than we anticipated. I mean, almost 1/3 less than we anticipated. So that's coming in good. There's still some minor things to be done on that. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was that in opening these things, we were concerned initially with the covering on the top. Because there was some migration of water. But it wasn't a disaster. It was just a 40-year deterioration of some of this metal works and things of that nature. Didn't see any really big ones, did we? Maybe 4 or 5 that had leaked over the years.
Yeah.
But the majority of it is now secured, and all rotted wood has been replaced, and any of the buckets or any of the steel or metal reinforcement has been taken care of. And in looking at it myself, I would like the committee to maybe think about, initially we thought those that would fix their own slab tops that put in polypebble and put in pavers and things like that, we anticipate taking it all off. Now that it's structurally sound for at least another 40 years, I'm wondering, that we've run into some reticence by people who it said I just did polypebble last year, and I'm wondering if we can leave those surfaces that have been replaced as is, because the owner's taken responsibility for it, and just paint the remaining ones that we want to do with the blockage. But it's something for discussion. I just kind of proposing for the first time, but looking at some of these, they're in pretty good shape. These extra surfaces.
Do you have an exact count and where they are located?
Where they're located, I can't say off the top of my
No,
head.
but I mean, once
I'd say-
everything is
I
done.
would say out of the 141, there's probably 30.
I noticed there were several in wood in S that the new owner installed surface hasn't been replaced. Are they watertight?
Yeah, that's my.
Well, that's the main opinion. I don't know that they're
Okay.
watertight. We didn't find any major problems below some of them, but that doesn't mean it couldn't be.
I know.
But the biggest problem would be any of the cracking in the concrete below it.
No.
But I mean, if so, we're at the point now of having to do the tops. And if we want to pursue it, I'm not saying we shouldn't just take everything off. We have taken some off already.
That's expensive.
Yeah.
Do we have any idea which ones were maybe damaged with water getting through?
He's got a list that we can look at.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I've
yeah, we can look
got,
at
there's
that,
more
maybe that'll
time.
help us.
We can tell from the time and materials that they spent,
Okay,
you know.
go ahead.
My thing is, you said you had about 30 of them.
Mhm.
we're ahead of time,
Mhm,
way ahead of time, and ahead of money.
mhm.
You know, rather than going back and undoing things, how about if we just go through and finish them all? That would be my suggestion.
Well, that's what we were planning to do. We initially planned to put this other material on it that got very expensive. It's gone now,
Yeah.
the vinyl. And it did cause issues, as Tiffany knows. So we've gone to this paint surface, and so, yeah,
Which works
we
great.
certainly can do that. I mean, that was original. I just threw it out for discussion.
I have a question, John.
Go ahead, George.
The people that have had it completed and their surfaces painted the way we chose to do, can they now go ahead and put tile down on top of that, or we don't want them to add the extra weight and everything else?
Hold on one second. Jim wants to, Jim Sells with us to, of our staff, and he wants to talk about it.
I would like to make a suggestion that the only thing you can put on those surfaces would be concrete paint, and that's it.
Okay.
That's what we're
Okay.
doing.
Everything else that goes on there, even the ones that are tiled, the grout eventually
Well, yeah.
lets water get through and get in.
Yeah.
I suggest if someone wants to paint their deck, I mean, that's a personal thing, I get it. You know, you have a walkway and you want it to look nice, that's great. Paint it anything you want, but no tile, no brick, no
carpet,
paver, no
carpet.
Poly
pebble
pebbles.
rock, none of that. Those are designed for the weight of the concrete that's there.
Yeah.
You're adding weight to it.
I know.
That is not a good idea. These things are over 40 years old. They do not extend from the foundation inside the flooring. They are pegged in.
So they were not actually.
They
put
can
in at the
fall.
Time of the building?
Yes, no, they were put up.
No, but
But-
I mean,
They're not poured
Inside,
with the
yes,
floor.
okay.
It's a separate pouring. So any added weight was not designed. The ones that are there, go ahead and leave them, grandfather them in, but I suggest the association make a ruling that the only thing you can do on those upper decks is paint them. That's it.
I agree with Jim, and I believe that the original Wildwood Springs was paint only anyway.
That is correct, George.
Okay, all right, so then that's the way it should be. Nobody, I saw one, or I saw one where they had pavers, like 2-inch thick pavers added to this. I mean, you're talking thousands of pounds of weight on these that don't belong. And I agree with Jim. It was designed to be painted, and let's paint only.
Well, that means that we would go also back to removing anything there and paint those surfaces.
Yeah, we were gonna do that anyway originally, right?
Well, you
Yeah.
could, but I mean, yeah, I mean, we have taken some poly pebble up already in the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you let 30 people keep it, then people are gonna be putting things down and saying, oh, I was grandfathered in. How, unless we have a list, it's gonna be all over again with, I'm grandfathered in with the floors and this and that, let's have a rule and stick to the rule.
Okay, well, we had the original design, and so I'm glad we discussed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We're
okay,
back to doing
we're gonna go back and we
exactly
will take those tiles off and whatever there. we do.
Amen. Do I hear hallelujah?
So a quick question for Tiffany. You've had yours in for just over a year. And there's,
Has it been more than that?
Not almost
Maybe
two,
two?
yeah.
yeah, those- so, and you see no deterioration in the paint or
She,
how
The
the
paint
surface
is-
holds and.
Yeah, the paint's holding up really well. I
Good.
had the vinyl initially and everyone knows that I had some slipping trouble with mine. Others weren't
Bubbling
that
and other
way
things.
and bubbling. So I wasn't a fan of the vinyl, but the new traction coat that Jim put on that has that grit to it that helps,
I use it on my
Then-
front side.
Stay
my
balanced.
whole
Really
side.
well.
That's
Yeah.
why we went to it.
yeah.
Well, some of the small problem with that stuff, I did one in the 500s. Unfortunately, the gentleman had cancer, this and the other, so they were gone for like 3 weeks.
Mm.
And so I took their tile up. I put that stuff down. They're not in the sunlight. 3 days later, that stuff still didn't set up.
Mm,
Now, about 4 years ago, also in the 500s, I used just regular concrete paint, okay? Painted a guy's deck. And to this day, that deck is still brown.
Yeah.
It's fine. And it dried up, I mean, it set up real quick. He is also not in the sunlight. And it set up real quick. The stuff that Steve suggested is good. Yeah, it's gritty, but in some places, it doesn't set up real quick. I mean, what am I gonna do? Tell people you can't come home for, a week?
Yeah.
You know, that ain't gonna happen. Now, if we paint it with concrete, regular paint, that sets up pretty quick and it's done within hours. You know, it's just like me when I'm painting the stairs. I make arrangements with the people that are here, say, hey, what's a good day? Takes me an hour to paint the stairs, takes about 2 hours for it to dry.
yeah,
You know, same with the deck then. Tell them, hey, what's a good day? I'll come in, we caulk. What I did is I caulked all the way around the deck first, between the building and the flooring, caulk it all, that way it seals it, and then paint it. And it's a nice, it's brown like the stairs, same stuff. And what that does is that makes everything just nice and even. And it sets up real quick and you're done. That's my experience from doing all this stuff.
So if you have a sunlit area, would you lean toward the other stuff or the concrete?
There's no need to lean towards the other stuff because the concrete is stiff anyways, it's not slippery, so when you put that stain on it, it doesn't really do anything, it just covers the concrete.
concrete,
You
yeah,
don't need to have any sand or anything.
So you go with concrete paint everywhere?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But those of
Probably
us
a little
with
bit-
the
It's
ones-
less
too.
expensive,
Yeah.
it's a lot quicker, it doesn't create problems for people.
Do you texture it yourself or?
You don't even have to,
You don't
touch it,
have-
don't, just paint it, it's just
It's
like
not
walking on
slippery,
concrete,
it's-
it's non-slippery.
Okay,
Yeah, it doesn't add any slippage to it.
is there any time limit to that, or does it have to be redone like after?
Well, I did that guy's like 4 years ago and it's
So,
still
okay.
looking good to me.
Okay,
It's like anything else. I mean, if somebody.
You know, it's like the
fixes-
stairs, I
if-
mean, yeah.
If
Yeah.
somebody takes I think it's gonna be better than the stairs.
Oh, yeah,
Stairs,
I mean, if somebody chips
Yeah.
it or something, but it's
yeah, if they
it's an
drag
easy
a
fix.
refrigerator across it or something.
Yeah.
well, I'll do that next time, I'll
Yeah.
drag my
Yeah,
refrigerator
yeah.
out,
But it's an easy fix, you just go over there with a roller and you're done,
I know,
you know?
I can laugh about that, I lived
Well, I
downstairs.
understand.
Okay, so good. All right. I think we got a consensus there. Secondarily, we're doing the carport ceiling repairs.
Mhm.
And there was some questions, particularly yesterday, about why we're stapling. It turns out that met with the contractor yesterday. And number one, it's a much strengthener, much stronger staple and
And they're doing
well, they're doing four.
4.
All the initial stuff was one staple. He's doing 4 staples to a point.
Yeah,
And the-
So
So
we're,
it'll keep it tighter.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's good.
This is the way to go.
Okay, I was worried
Yeah.
telling my cluster that it was gonna be the
We
same.
were
And he said,
before,
he
but-
actually said he would not recommend screws. He's absolutely
No.
said that to both of us.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we were looking at the tracks they put in for here, even the new track versus the old track has a staple every 8 to 10 inches, the new one is every 6 or
Yeah.
6 or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
A
a
lot more
much better
product,
product.
think out,
Okay.
45 years, we have come a long way, haven't we?
That's right. That's right. We've gone to a stronger staple.
I know,
and he's confident that however deep they are will hold against a high wind.
Yep.
Event, okay, thank you.
Are the staples stainless steel?
Yes.
Yes. And he's using 4 to a snap instead of 1. Okay, again, the next issue is electric vehicles. And as you know, we've had quite a discussion on how to help the owners maintain what they want to do as far as the amount of or the delivery of electricity to their vehicles. However, in many cases, because of the sidewalk crossing, we've had vociferous complaints about people putting a cord across for slip and fall and insurance purposes. And so let's, because Jim wants to get on where he's gonna go, let's show what he's proposing to us as a thought.
Basically, what I'm thinking is, most of the places, people that have it, they have an outlet outside. You tap into the outlet, use underground cable, don't need piping. Dig a trench, if they've got pavers, the pavers have got to come up. Put it down, put the pavers back down. You jet underneath the sidewalk. In the parking lot where the sidewalk meets the pavement, okay? Put a hole. Use a hole saw is what I plan on using. About a, there you go. 3-inch or 2-inch hole saw, drill through the asphalt. You jet underneath to that hole, and you put that configuration into the hole, concrete it, and make it real nice. Okay, so it sits there. Put there's a cone over there. This thing's kind of neat. Yep, that's a cone. Go ahead, hold it up in the center.
Yeah.
Look at that sucker. So what this does is the owner is responsible, because that's going to be sitting in the parking lot. The owner would be responsible to put a cone, either that one or a similar one. We'll buy the cone for them. They put the cone over it when they're not there.
Well, we don't know who's gonna buy anything yet.
Well, we don't know about that.
Yeah,
That way, when their vehicle's not there, the cone's sitting there, it's not a tripping hazard. Somebody sees a cone, people walk around that stuff. The other reason for doing it this way is people move. If you put in a big concrete post or, like all the county and everybody else is doing, well, it's gonna be there forever. You take that, if they move and there's no electric car, you can cut it, cap it, cover it. It's done. It's very
Where's the junction box gonna be? Where is that junction box? Where's the plug gonna be?
The plug would be right at the edge where the concrete and the pavement meet. Right at the
Sidewalk and
sidewalk,
parking lot.
just on the other side of the sidewalk, in the parking lot.
How far is it gonna be sticking up?
About like that.
about 2 feet.
That's what,
About 18
2
inches.
2 feet, 18
Yeah.
inches, something like that.
That's gotta have something around it or it's a trip hazard.
Well, that's why I said we put a cone over it. That's up to the owner. He needs to put a cone over it, so it's not a trip hazard. That way it just sits there, and the parking space needs to be marked electric car only. Now, that's for,
That's the problem.
That's gonna be an issue, yeah.
that's going to be an issue,
Let's
but,
get into the just,
but it's not really an issue, because look at, in the 500s. They voted to have all their places all marked.
Yeah, they voted to have their places marked.
Okay, so I mean, you're talking one spot, and usually, and in here, the way it's worked is that people who do not live in that condo unit don't park in front of their front door. It's a courtesy. So really, you're not taking away from anybody anything.
Until you get to the corner.
Okay,
Well, that's the difference.
yeah,
Well,
as far as,
But that's-
how and what,
yeah.
we're basically talking
you
more
guys
about a
talk
potential
about.
design. And
Yeah.
how it's handled
Yeah.
thereafter, we'll have. to see that
The
committee.
other aspect would be if it's an upstairs unit. There would have to be a conduit line. And a conduit pipe coming down the wall. Okay, so you have to consider that. It's not hard. There's, you drill a hole right through into the kitchen and you plug into the socket right there. They're usually right there anyways. But you'll have that coming down the wall. The other issue would be carports. I suggest if it's a carport, that is entirely up to the owner, such as the gentleman over here did in cluster I believe. J.
Yeah,
I?
no, it's J, you're right.
J, cluster J. He put in his own. He paid for it. He came and said, here's what I'm gonna do, and you guys said, yeah, okay, go do it. So, I mean, that would be the two other things.
Who pays for the,
Yeah.
if it's in a carport, who pays for the power?
Oh, no, he put his own meter
Put
on.
a meter in and.
Everything is up to them. They get it metered. Get an electrician out here to put it in exact. That's the way it
Coordinate
is.
with FPL, yep, he did it all, it was about $6,000,
Yeah.
5,500,
Yeah.
6,000.
And it's also fortunate that he had a corner,
Yes.
parking space.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have to go through the middle of the carport. I mean, it really gets convoluted.
Yes, it
and-
does.
Well, it has to be engineered and designed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody good?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
yep,
thank you.
Y'all have a great day.
yep.
My major concern with that is somebody's gonna back into it and snap it off.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't,
Even if the cone's there, oh, I can hit the cone, doesn't matter.
You know what my major concern is? After about 10 years, when we are required to have more hybrids and electric vehicles, you got 558 of these
Yeah.
sticking out of the ground. That's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be a trip hazard when,
Or the big
When it's
ones,
not
can
there.
you imagine that?
how many
Everybody
cones we
had,
have,
oh,
yeah.
please, please.
John and I, toyed with something yesterday, cause we've been just brainstorming for a month. How the hell we could work this out?
Just
Couple of
the
years,
two of
yeah.
you?
Yeah,
Okay,
and there was a thought of something very similar to this. But do it in a end spot where we can come right off a light post.
Yeah.
Have something like this coming up in the grassy area, right? Sort of at the edge, not in the parking lot, but in the grass on the last parking spot in that cluster.
which is
To
neat.
where it just would be there for use.
Yeah.
That way, no lines have to go across the sidewalk. And it's not where a car is gonna hit it and break it. And we don't have to stick a beautiful orange cone over it. Just
And
have
that-
something like a lamp post, or I guess it could be something like this sticking up in the grass. Then we just have to make sure our guys don't catch
My-
it with a lawnmower.
My problem.
Well, yeah, now it would not be on the hard surface, it
Yeah.
would not be on the asphalt, right? It would all
would be in the grass.
area.
Grass.
My problem with that is that if you have two electric vehicles in a cluster and those trickle charges,
It
it
takes
takes-
overnight.
yeah, it takes a
What
long
do you do,
time.
Once a month, once a week,
No, I go once a month.
once a month.
It's there for 24
So,
hours.
I mean, it's,
But it's,
It's not there. It's like,
you can have a little, at least for now.
yeah, I mean, it's.
We've got seven people. Really
Right now.
6,
Right now.
right,
yeah.
right now. Oh, no, there could be 12 tomorrow.
I would prefer this method that what Jim described.
I think what Jim described is good also, except I would make it higher and mount it to a post.
yes, more permanent installation and it's gonna
Yeah,
have to,
yeah,
then when
and
that
a
person
higher. It
moves-
has to be 3.5 feet high.
Yeah, but that power is coming off of that person's residence. And then when they leave or sell,
Yeah,
then you got a post there in the middle of our parking lot. And what are we gonna end up with?
well,
500?
hey, if I was a new owner, I might want to have the electric there for my car.
Goodness gracious.
If it's a question of removing it, like he said, you could just remove that pipe quite easily, just unscrew it and cap it off. And then if you want to get rid of the post, get rid of the post. Have a post that you bolt to the ground and unbolt it.
there are posts you can buy just for this application.
I know,
Oh, we have pictures of them for.
but
the-
you have to mount them. You have to mount them
You have to mount
somehow.
it permanently.
Right. The only problem is like what Monica said, if everybody over the next 10 years, if now we've got, 400 of these posts sticking out of the ground, it's gonna not be very attractive.
Yeah. That-
But if in a situation where a condominium this old, what is our solution? We have to accommodate electric cars because we're gonna have to.
Jim, Steve, may I say something?
Go ahead, Chris.
Would it be a possible solution to use what Jim suggested coming out of the unit? And instead of, once it goes under the sidewalk, why not try putting just a flat box there? That's even with the ground, that has plugs
Water?
that can be closed.
Water.
Water.
Hey, John.
Water.
And then they have to simply plug in there with a cord going out to their car. But it would not go into the pavement. It would not be something that somebody could hit. And it would be flat enough that you shouldn't trip over it.
Oh, you're talking about coiling the wire in the ground and then uncoiling it each time you use it.
No.
You're talking about putting the plug.
Have the line come out under the sidewalk, and where it comes out of the outside of the sidewalk, put a flat box there,
Yeah,
an outlet box.
water.
When it rains hard, it's just gonna fill up with water, and
Yeah,
water.
water don't mix real well.
You can buy those boxes that have covers over.
Yep, doesn't.
No.
There are some places in Lakeside, for instance, where there are still places where water collects
Yeah.
temporarily, even temporarily, and that's.
I don't believe you could get that to
Yeah,
work
we
with the
found that
National
last
Electric
fall.
Code.
I could see if you uncoil no, but I don't like that. Underground, I don't think it
Monica
would
has
work.
something.
You know, we have the kayak racks and we made people pay to put their kayaks up. So why don't we have people pay to have somewhere in the area where everybody can get to have one of those expensive charging stations that charges in
Quickly.
18 minutes.
$55,000.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have 558 units. We just.
And you have to maintain them.
$6 for insurance. I mean, please, we're making a mess out of our surroundings with these things sticking out of the ground. Why doesn't everybody who wants to have a car and then sell your share to the person who's taking over your unit? So then they can use it. And then we use a credit card to charge and we can make some money here.
Hey, Steve, can I talk for just a second?
Gus, go ahead, Gus.
Go ahead, Gus.
I did contact the EnviroSpark Energy Company. That was the flyer that was given to us the last time we were together.
Yeah.
They will come in, they will survey our entire property, bring their engineering staff in. They will install charging stations where we best, to be a discussion between them and us where the best locations would be. They can do it on their nickel, doesn't cost us a dime. But if we do it that way, they get all the revenue off of it. Now, the revenue off of this is not going to be much. And they understand going into this that it's going to be years before they start recouping their money. To install a level 2 charging system costs about 30 grand per unit. We're going to have to get involved with Florida Power and Light to look at our infrastructure to see if it's going to carry these kind of loads. A level 3 is just out of the question. The problem with the level 3 is that it costs so much money that even they can't make their money back. So they do level 1s and 2s. But their recommendation for something like this would be a level 2. Not only could they do a couple there at the office, but they could scatter them throughout. We could start where we know we have EVs now and then expand. I think this is the best solution initially until we have, at some point we get to where we have, 30, 40, 50 EVs, then it's going to be a different ballgame. But you could put one of these charging stations in every cluster at no cost, not a dime.
Yeah, it's intriguing. Yeah.
Who pays the electric?
They would put
Who
in.
pays the electric?
Free of charge. Hello.
I'm sorry,
There's-
we're all
there's-
talking. I apologize.
Go ahead.
I say they would put in 26, Gus?
They could.
Mhm.
Now they may look at it and say initially not that many.
Yeah.
I've got a sheet here, and I can share with Steve. I can get this to you. Basically, in all of these scenarios, the owner, us, is going to pay for the electricity. That's a small amount of money compared to the cost to install all this stuff. There's three different ways they do this. One is kind of, they get all the money. There's a way that we do it that we get all the money, but we take all the risk. We have to put up all the money up front to do the installs. That's $30,000 roughly, give or take. That's on average what they cost. And then there's a blended one where it's kind of in the middle where you share some of it. So maybe a shared scenario is the best way to do it. And that way we get at least a little bit of revenue. And the best thing to do is just get them involved. Have them come visit, meet with John. I don't know if you and Steve, if you're there to meet, go around. Unfortunately, I'm not there right now. Won't be until October. But the guy that his name was on that flyer, Parker Lingham, he covers all of the Florida area basically, and he is willing to meet with us. He actually is out of Atlanta, but he's in Florida all the time to deal with this. And they were quite excited about the opportunity to do that for us. The other thing we can do, we can put these charging stations out on the internet. There's a map that they have that anybody can go to, or we can say, no, we don't want our charging stations. So we don't want anybody coming in from the outside. If they come in from the outside, there's just more revenue. That's all.
But that'd be basically for them if we had them put it in versus.
Right. If we go that route, they would get that extra, and they don't have a problem. He said, we'll do it either way. We'll put it out there. It goes out on, basically what's the, I'm sorry. What's the name of the big EV? Tesla. Tesla has a site that they locate every kind of charging station that you can use. Now, Tesla has a special plug on their charger that they use. Everybody else uses a standard, but these charging stations they put in would be good for both the Tesla and everybody else's EV.
In talking to them, Gus, would the amount of money that someone would have to pay be somewhat equal to what if they were using their own power, or would it cost them more to use this machine than plugging it?
I wrote down, it's about,
yeah, please.
I'm sorry.
for one of our residents, it's about $2 per hour to charge. And that's what you're seeing as a kind of a national standard. If you pull into anywhere in the country that's got a charging station, that's what you're going to pay.
What are you paying, Tom, on your electric?
Mine?
No, I'm sorry.
I pay,
Oh.
Tom.
according to what I saw, FPL, when your home electric thing was about 16 cents per kilowatt hour. So I get 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour on my car. So do the math, that's what it costs me. Most vehicles, you only charge them up to 80%.
Yeah.
You don't charge them 100%. Level 2 is a 220 outlet. It takes like, I don't know, 10 to 12 hours, as opposed, might take mine 24 hours. I charge it, I bring my charge down to 20%, which most people do. Bring it up to 80. The electric vehicle companies recommend you do not charge it to 100% routinely. It degrades the battery faster. So it's very simple. You plug into outlet, it sits there for 24 hours, 1 day a month for 12 months. I don't know how much it costs. It's not that much. I have 110 outlets, like what it would cost to run a light bulb for 24 hours.
If you're plugging into a 20 amp circuit and you're drawing 20 amps or something close to it.
It's not a 20 amp circuit. It's not a 20 amp circuit. It's a 15 amp circuit.
Okay. So you're probably still at about your personal electric is costing you about, for that is about 30 cents then.
Yeah.
Per hour.
Per hour.
Yeah. But the advantage here is that as we go into these systems is that the individual unit person is not paying for the install. So you're saving that. These installs are going to get very expensive. And there's another piece to this is that unless you've upgraded your panel and your unit, you may not have enough power. It's going to get very, very touch and go if there's enough power there. And that's the other thing that needs to be looked at is right now with 7 units, 7 EVs, we don't have a problem. Once we get to maybe 40, 50 EVs, we could be looking at a problem. Everybody only has 100 amps. Now, if you're only charging at night, then that's good because you're not using anything else at night, probably other than your air conditioners running periodically and your refrigerator. But you don't have your lights on, you don't have your TV on, you're not drying clothes, all those other things that consume lots of power. So you're deregulated down to the point that you're good. But at some point, people are going to want to charge during the day, not just overnight. And then we're going to get into a problem. And it's compounded by the fact that, we have the way the power comes in from the transformer to every unit. You have the problem where Florida Power and Light's responsible for some of that wiring. And then the rest of it is either coming back to the owner or it's coming back to the HOA one way or another. But you may have to increase, not only, you may have to go to 150 or a 200 amp panel. If you want to do a level 2, it takes 2 40 amp breakers. That's a lot of juice.
Now,
I'd like to say something.
does it show how many amps it's drawing?
1 second, Jim.
Should have it on there someplace on the charger.
I don't know, it's a portable charging unit.
Yeah.
It just says that it's charging, no, it does not do that. But my car says how many kilowatts I'm bringing in.
How many amps?
Yeah, it says
If the 15 amp circuit is probably not pulling more than 5.
no. It doesn't take that long, it's a simple thing.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to.
If everybody has 110, it's not gonna be any kind of problem on their panel.
No,
Steve,
I got an outlet, same outlet I got inside, just plug it in.
It's the 220 that you're gonna run into trouble with, the available power.
If people want to do that.
Yeah.
And you will have people who want to do level 2.
It sounds like we've got a step 1, step 2 opportunity here,
Yeah.
like the beginnings, we start out with something, community one, and then we maybe after 70 or 80 or 90 EVs coming in,
It gives us more time to investigate this company probably, but
How much time does this guy need a contract for? Is it like our pools and stuff like that?
We don't know yet.
leasing the equipment
Well, I
and
think
stuff?
it won't hurt to meet with them,
Yeah,
certainly.
of course it will. But it's neat that we'd have 2 opportunities, or we got a beginning. We sure don't need 554 units. And maybe we don't need 28 or whatever it is per cluster. But it'd be nice to start out and see if it's any good without committing ourselves to 40
well,
years.
that's why John and I sort of suggested the grassy area end units where it's not in front of anybody's front door and
Make it simple.
make
Yeah,
it simple
that's
now and see how this goes. We can
And then we want
always,
common property too, as
Yeah.
far as eyesight and people walking
Yeah.
by. I think it's a great idea.
it's just a plug sticking up and
Yeah.
so an eyesore with a big orange cone sitting on top of it.
Better that than
Like
somebody.
I said,
tripping
somebody
over.
turning around in there and gonna hit that and snap it off.
Do the cars have their own cords?
Yes,
Or is it on the charging unit?
cars have their, EV cars come with their own portable charging cable.
Okay.
I don't use it because it's not as well, it's a lot slower, so I bought a portable charger. It'll do level 2, level 1, I only have level 1, I plug it in, it's got 27 feet. I run across the sidewalk, I put the cones in front for 24 hours, it's no big deal, it's once a month. Simple.
To somebody, it's a big deal. And unfortunately, legally, they have a point.
Well, there's
And nothing
another
we can do
option
about it.
we've got there too, you see.
So that's why we're trying to think of a way that very simply, very inexpensively, at least for now, we can do that.
Let's keep our eye on what the objective is. Number 1, we want it, don't pump it higher. But number 2, the problem we have with the way you're talking about is safety. So if we had some type of tunneling under the sidewalk, that comes up to a post, we could do it that way too. But again, I think that's what you guys on the committee have to look at there. But
Well,
the
that's
options that
one
are getting down now, where we're not
But that's,
looking at,
you know, we came up with a
Having
whole
to do it
solution,
your
but it
own
was
way,
gonna
you know?
cost the owner a lot of money to do it. You know, have a big post come out in the parking lot, tunnel through into their own panel. But
And that's what this
Again.
is.
and then
No.
we can't guarantee they're gonna
No,
get
this
that
is-
parking place anyway. You know, that's
Yeah.
the worst scenario in some of these
Ultimately
places
connected
we
to
got
the
an
panel.
issue.
Well,
no, we were thinking about just taking it right off the light post outside for now.
It's a
It's
110.
not a lot of electricity,
Level 110.
maybe talk to each,
So this is not connecting to their unit?
no.
no,
That's
no,
what Jim
no,
was talking
no, this
Jim,
this
Jim was
particular one, yes,
Right.
but not,
The one in the grassy area, we were thinking about just coming off a lamp post.
So it only works overnight when the light sensor is, anyway. I would
Power
lean-
down at the bottom of the.
I would
post.
lean toward this, that the unit is responsible for having this installed. It goes right into their, either into their panel or into their outlet outside the door.
see, I don't think John saw that.
I do.
But
That's what I was
I
thinking.
think that's step one for how we address this. There are 8 units, eight EVs here that we have no choice. We have to address in some way. The law says we have to address it in some way. I think this is step one, that we shouldn't have a common area that people from the outside can pull up to,
No,
I definitely shouldn't think,
Outside
I
area.
don't wanna go to level 2 or level 3
No.
kind of charging at this point. Involving whatever this company is, no, I lean toward the simplest solution, which is the owner is responsible for having this, what we determine to be a minimum acceptable configuration, which is what we were saying all along. That the unit is responsible for having that installed and leave it at that for now. We're not gonna have 550 of these. If we get to the point where there are more than 20, then we can readdress this and come up with a different solution. But I think this is a good step one, that we don't do anything community-wide.
It'd be interesting to do a survey. I would guess that we're not gonna have more than 20 total in the area here, probably for the next 5 years. Now, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's next year, but if we look out 5 years from now, it's, let's just say we do 40 in 5 years. That's a lot. It might be 80 in the next 5 years. So I think about 5 years, but the point is, I think we can work on a gauge there where we deal with it, just like you're talking about, you know, an individual situation. Then if we have to go to a gross one, I don't know. But the bottom line is we need to have, this is what it is.
The other thing is the technology here is changing so quickly.
Yeah,
Battery technology is changing dramatically, very quickly. Who knows, this may all be for naught. It may be pull into an electric charging station for 15 minutes, like you fill up your car with gas.
That'll
And that's,
happen.
yes, it's
But it's gonna
going
be
to
5 or
happen.
10 years
And
down
get
the
a
road.
car wash at the same time, yeah.
But
I hesitate to bring this up, and so don't listen to the one word I'm gonna talk about here in that community center, but that was our objective, is to use that as a sunlight collecting area for electricity to be used to power things such as our own maintenance material. But the point is, one day we're going to be going to solar energy too, and so if we can keep these within the units of the house as opposed to something else, or have a plan going to that too. I don't know when, what. But that's.
Can I add something? I agree with Tom. I think that's, in the beginning, let's move forward because we have this situation. Let's eliminate the tripping hazard. The thing that Jim was describing isn't gonna cost that much for people that wanna, have electric cars for now. The only thing I don't like is the orange cone thing. I'd rather have a post and, like, if you want to, if we do decide to go to communal stations and centrally located, that there's service contracts with these things, and you also have outside people who are going to use them. And I can just say, oh, well, I borrowed my friend's car and it happens to be electric. And then you're going to have to make, you're going to have all kinds of problems that way. I think in the individual units right now, since there's only 7 or 8, let's move forward with that. Eliminate the tripping hazard by tunneling under the sidewalk, which they do all the time with irrigation and everything else. It's very simple. And keep it simple. Like you said, the technology is changing. We might be moving away from electric to hydrogen or something by the time we worry about it,
Atomic power, yeah.
Rather than this, I think I'd rather go with a 6-inch PVC pipe that you cap and you just put over you can paint it orange and put it over the top. But then if you run into something like that, you're not gonna be hurting yourself in the process. It's not gonna be a trip hazard.
Or would
But
you
you
have
just-
a 4x4 post and have that on it?
What?
I like that idea.
Just
That would do it too, yes.
Attach that to a post.
Yeah,
a more sturdy post. Well, you know what I'm saying.
But the point is, if you have something this big and you run into it, you're not gonna bruise yourself, you're not gonna. But I was just thinking of a PVC pipe that you just pick up, move outside, plug in, and then you put it back over when you're done.
Well, we want to make it as attractive as possible and safe, so
Right.
just
What's
put
attractive?
luminous. You put the orange tape, the luminous tape, or the reflective
But
tape on the top, so no one walks into it, and it'll help with parking at night. You just put that reflective tape, and just put a post in.
It would. It's smart for that.
Paint them white, paint them tan, paint them like the same color as the building.
Yeah.
Steve,
What about putting in a light post there, a light post there that's also controlled by the person so that when the light's on, the power's there. And,
All the way to their panel.
but it has to go all the way to the panel, yes. Or at least
Well,
they're
I don't know.
plug in, they can plug it in by. I don't know, that may not be a good idea, but
No, are we looking at costs per individual if we go that route?
it's gonna be a couple $100.
Okay, so.
It'll be more than that.
Can I ask, I know I'm a female here, but I would like to ask a question. What's the highest power to pay for? The highest charging station, how much is it?
50
Level
grand.
3, it's
Yeah.
$60,000.
Well, if you divide that by 558 units, it's $90 per unit.
And you got.
And there are only 8 units that use it, so divided.
No,
by-
but talk about the long term.
Yeah, I don't care about the
Yeah,
long
but
term.
then you got one station, and if you got 50 cars trying to charge at the same time, what are you gonna do?
And if I don't have an electric car, I don't want to pay for it anyway.
Sakes.
That's right.
You're
You
talking
know,
about
coming
people
from the
getting
outside to
along.
charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
There's a few that don't get along.
Your unit.
Yeah, it's,
Well, those are probably the ones who won't get an electric car.
That's why we don't all pay for the kayak storage.
Actually, they're emotionally.
But a level 3 charges in what, 15 minutes? So
Yeah.
it'd be quick to like,
Well,
even if
of
a couple
course.
people are in
Yeah,
line.
right.
just
You
sitting
can
up for-
get a level 3 charge at the car dealership or whatever. You can do that for 15 minutes rather than having
Oh, okay.
having one here.
Then
Yeah,
I,
they
as far as I'm concerned, that's what I would
Yeah.
do.
Because it's not economical.
Level 3 is in Ellington.
Station,
Okay.
I mean,
That's where it is in Ellington. It's not here.
Steve,
yeah,
But there'll be more.
all right, we're not getting anywhere here. Go ahead.
well, I would certainly, whether you do this individual unit or not, I would certainly recommend as an owner that you follow Gus's suggestion to have this company come in and give us some, and have that done as soon as possible.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think that would certainly direct us in where you were gonna go. I think right now, we've got a 1, 2, 3 kind of a situation opportunity. And I'm talking about first, second, and third, the ultimate. And I don't think we even have to go that far. Right now, we want to have safety issues taken care of. We want to be able to charge the vehicles and we wanna have it available to the people that have EVs, and let's just work with those. And then we'll deal with some of the others, because we can get far out in left field about charging in 2.5 seconds or sharing and stuff like that. I think right now, for $200, we got a solution. Is it meet all the requirements we have about safety and some of the others? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, maybe it doesn't all the way, but we can modify it later, you know? Right now, we got 8 people, right? Or something like that.
Even less than that.
And so let's go wild and crazy and say we have 24 by next year. We're still not outside the square of what we've thought about as a preliminary. And we have the secondary, which is the rental of equipment or whatever this company is, so.
Well, excuse me, to play the devil's advocate just for conversational sake. And we'll just use Tom as an example. If he can plug it in his unit for 4 to 8 cents versus $2 or whatever. I mean, how do we command him to do that? And when he has the ability to plug in.
It's just,
Are we on schedule or you wanna postpone a little bit?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it seems,
11:30?
11:30.
Okay, great.
All right,
seems to me the overarching problem is that whatever system you put in, you want to avoid drip and hazard problems. Okay. It seems to me that you run a cord from your unit across the sidewalk. You can back your car up to cover the sidewalk, so there's nobody gonna trip on it because they can't walk on the sidewalk.
but then they say you're blocking the side.
There are plenty of
So
people
you
with
walk
walkers
ar-
here,
Yeah.
walkers and whatever,
You're walking like 5 feet away and around the car. They do that all the
I
time.
agree.
It's not an
I
issue.
agree, but the people who are complaining have a right to complain
About what?
about blocking the sidewalk or having anything going across that sidewalk.
Yep.
Who are
We
they?
just, we can't
I'm not.
argue with them.
Well, sure you can.
No, they got a legal right. They'll take it to a lawyer and we'll
They're not
be,
gonna take
the
it.
sidewalk's a
They're not
sidewalk.
gonna- First of all, it's not a sidewalk, it's a walkway legally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what it
it's
is.
Not a public sidewalk.
It's not a public sidewalk. You can block it for overnight. It's not a big deal. If the people complain, sit down and talk to them and say, hey, you can't keep everybody happy here all the time. It's simple.
Why not?
I think we're somewhere close to this thing. If that's the only issue, and that is that people wanna plug it into their own unit. Your plug right there, it's right there, it's right, plug it into your own unit, and we have it sitting out in front of their house. If that's the one that they're gonna do it, then the sidewalk isn't obscured, cars in the exact spot that it has to be in. There are no plugs running around, and it's running off of my individual power. I think there's your compromise right there. We got everything we're looking for. Safety, inexpensive, and it's a beginning process.
You're gonna put in a concrete post or a post.
Well, post is, that's something we have to
It's
look
gonna
at.
be a little more expensive, but
Yeah, it could be anything from that to a 4x4 piece of wood too, but that's something I think we can decide. I think wood is termite bill, so let's deal with this, something a little more substantial, but we don't have to make this into build the building again. It's a post for a plug. And we do it all the time out in Minnesota for powering up the heaters for the cars.
You're blocking. You want to put a post up, that's fine, but I guarantee they're gonna be tipped over.
well, that's why I said it would have to be some kind of substantial
Yeah.
steel post that, somebody hits it, it's gonna dent their
Yeah,
car.
that's what's gonna happen.
If it's close to or at the yard lights, et cetera, we're not running into yard lights, come on, so how would we do it? Sure,
Well,
somebody's
it's
gonna
out
hit
in the
it,
parking lot now.
And you're gonna have, what you're gonna have on a post is a 110 outlet.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It takes 24 hours for me to go from, it takes 24 hours for me to go from 20 to 80.
And you plug it in at night and go to bed and wake up the next morning and you're done.
Well, and I park my, I have a carport. I park my carport. My neighbors know. Or I park my car, they say, okay, can you move your car for next? Sure, they move it. They know the spot where I charge my car. No big deal. Once a month. Most people are not gonna have plug in their car every fucking night.
No.
They're not. They're gonna do it once or twice a month. Look at the picture. It's very small issue, very small problem.
So I think we've really come around to something that's got an opportunity and more flexibility and all the rest of them. The post, okay, let's work on that later. we know where we're going with it anyway. That's the only thing that we have to worry about is do we make it into a large cement thing that a tank can't go over, or do we make it simple and?
No.
Steve, if I might,
Go ahead.
before you would approve this, I think you should get a cost estimate for what it would cost for both a downstairs unit and an upstairs unit. And then, secondly, I can put, a survey on the, website asking people if they have intentions of buying an EV within the next 5 years.
Can't hurt to have that.
Yeah, why not?
I will volunteer that I was just in the market for a car and the EVs were really appealing looking, but because we didn't have any infrastructure, I decided to just be easier and I went with gas. But if we had it, there would be more
I
opportunity.
know in 5 years, I will be looking at an EV car.
Yeah.
Maybe. The real problem is power. That's the only thing that frightens me. A hybrid, I feel very good with.
And who knows where the technology will be in 5 years.
Exactly, you're so right. I don't.
You can charge it probably with your cell phone.
Oh, you can't do
I had the,
You lift to God's ears.
Can we maybe just conclude this conversation and say, we're gonna have this person come in and talk to us?
We're gonna do that for sure.
We can do that for sure.
And then
Let's
we
do
can take it from there, because then we have a price and we know what we're talking about a little bit more.
But we still have at least
Yeah.
one issue. I mean, there seems to be a complaint. A trip hazard could be on all 6 places, but we have a serious complaint about 527. And I've asked them to put cones up and things like that, and apparently they don't even want to do that.
I
Why don't we
think
make
we
a-
should recommend this for now, for any unit that wants to have an EV, that we do this.
yes,
You've got an issue there that is a common property issue, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts, whether they're running a lawnmower, whatever. It's a cord that's going across a public access area, and frankly, it's a finable offense. I don't care what the feelings are.
No, I understand that,
Yeah.
and I understand that, but we have not given them an alternative unless something like this is.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, that
I
is
totally
it a
agree
downstairs
with
unit?
that, but at the time being, right now, the alternatives will find someplace else to plug it in. Yeah,
But no,
because
that, by law, we have to find an accommodation.
Why?
That's the law. The
Yeah,
law
I
in the
haven't
state
seen
of
that law.
Florida, you have to accommodate an EV.
Yeah,
Is
because
that right?
Yes.
are we not mandatory by 2035 to
No,
have all
No.
electric
No.
vehicles?
no, that's not true.
California.
They're just not gonna make them.
Well, then now move to California, what the hell?
Yeah,
Might be cheaper.
But
well,
anyway,
you know, what I'm saying is it's up to my job to enforce our rules and regulations, and our rules and regulations say that at least one, and probably 4 or 5 that we don't see as regularly, or we don't see yours at all, because you're fortunate enough, because you can back right up against the bushes and nobody sees that, but
Which I don't do, but I just put my.
I know.
cones in.
I know, but we have one that will have to be enforced, that you can't do this. And we're gonna have to tell them that they can't do it or give them an alternative
Is
to do
it
it.
a downstairs unit?
Yes,
So-
it's a
so-
villa. It's a villa.
Why don't we just say that, make that a regulation, if you have an EV vehicle and you're gonna use a portable charger and you run across.
Now
the
they're
sidewalk-
plugging in there.
Well, if they plug into their outlet.
It's a
then-
hybrid too.
Okay, so they still gotta plug into an outlet.
That's right.
If they run across the sidewalk, they gotta put up cones. Some people.
But
Not good enough.
And buy a cord cover.
Are they charging every day?
No,
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 if they got a hybrid, they don't charge it that often anyhow.
I know,
Plug in hybrid, they
I think we
don't
do
charge
this.
it.
my daughter
Or-
had a hybrid 15 years ago, first Ford.
I
Great.
can guarantee liability insurance will be tested in that manner if there's any accident, even with the cones, and it makes me mad, but that's.
Well,
not
we
the-
can get fined.
Yeah, well, it's not the fine, it's somebody suing us because they.
Well, you want to be concerned, you want to be concerned about fines, people. Look at the roadways that we have. And we don't take into account the people that walk and walk safely. I'm
Well,
more concerned about
you're
people
right.
finding you for being hit by a car on the roadway than somebody tripping over a cord. That's just down on the ground
That is a.
once a month twice a month, that's all.
And we have one other unfortunate circumstance, that there happens to be a blind individual that lives in that cluster. On
How
top
do
of
they
it.
get around other things? When there's the walk to the Publix, and there's a sign that says slip and fall, what do?
No, I'm just saying, it's just exasperating.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think
Well,
we've come up with some of the-
right now, we have a solution that Jim mentioned. We can tunnel under the sidewalk, so there is no tripping hazard.
Right.
Let's eliminate the tripping hazard, and we'll deal with how we deal with the electric cars as we evolve into this.
So in other words, we could put either a little conduit or a deco drain or something to run the wire through without having a post out there. Have a 3-inch that you draw plug through.
Do the thing that Jim said and put the cone if you want. You
That
know,
does
I
not
don't.
meet code.
I like the 4x4 post idea.
I do too.
Then put a post. How much more are you talking? $160 or something, or
But we gotta get
$150?
a price. We're working on. We just
Yeah.
come up with these ideas yesterday,
Yeah.
and so Jim was finding to put that little thing together for demonstration purposes. So I guess it's to be continued, but I'm gonna
Yes,
have to inform these people that they just they're causing a hazard.
Hey, John,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to jump in front of you, but
No problem.
the last time we met, we came up with the idea, at least in the interim, with the cones on each side of the sidewalk to alert people that there was a cord there, and to install for the owner to put down a cord cover. You can buy these off Amazon for $15, $10.
Mhm.
It is an ADA approved. There's no problem with running that across. You're not blocking. I know there was some concerns about people were saying, well, you're blocking the sidewalk. No, we're not blocking the sidewalk. These are private sidewalks. They do not apply the same regulations on that as you do to a public sidewalk in the city.
Right.
You can do this, and that's a safe way to do this until we can come up with a realistic plan. And it's going to cost them 2 cones and a cord cover. And that solves the problem for now. Now, I know
Yes.
you're saying that they don't want to do that, but I think
FP&L does it every time they do a ground strap, and they leave it there for months.
yeah,
And they
that's
just
an
put the
acceptable thing to do.
Well-
If I might, Steve, one other solution that would maybe solve for temporarily is simply put a conduit underneath the sidewalk and let them run an extension cord from their unit to the car through the pipe.
That's
Yeah.
yes.
You have to, you
Well,
can't.
that was the initial thought, Chris, to have a wider, like a 3-inch or 4-inch
Right.
pipe, could pull the plug through,
Right.
have it come out flat to the asphalt and have a cover on it, screw in a cover. That was the first thought, and then the second thought was to come up with this, but you wouldn't have anything in the parking lot. If
Right.
you had 3-inch coming through with an elbow and a cap, so it wouldn't rain. And
Well,
they'd have to pull their
where-
they'd have to
where
pull
would
their
it be?
plug.
Yeah, pull the cord every time and I wouldn't even worry about the rain.
True.
We've got there though is again, plan number 1, and that's for now. Plan number 2, what are we ultimately going to go to for the secondary thing? And I think that's the post idea and or the other guy, this contracting
I
company.
think the least
But that means
expensive
what number 3,
and the
so.
quickest one would be, what
Yeah.
John and I said, is just bring a PVC pipe under, let them pull their own extension cord through the tube. Bring it out, hook it in, then they can pull it back out, and we got nothing.
How about extending the PVC all the way back to the patio area, so that we don't have to worry about mowers or anything like that?
No, it wouldn't be anywhere near the mowers. It would have to it would have to go under their fence. You're right. It would have to go into their patio area.
Right.
It couldn't
So-
just come on the sidewalk. No,
Right,
no, you're right there. But I mean, at
But-
least
but-
temporary.
Yeah,
And maybe,
And they have that
maybe-
PVC pipe that has the holes in the bottom that, so it drains, it's. You don't have.
or if you put caps on it, but maybe
but
we
even-
should do one as an experiment for, and an experiment at 527 to see what the costs are.
Might be a good idea.
Good idea.
It just happened to leave it there,
Perfect solution.
you know.
The Florida
for
Power
one.
makes it, very safe. Very safe.
They tag it.
Yeah,
That thing.
we got a nice tag hanging up.
What Steve is showing is that they had to put a ground strap in next door to him last night, and it's not too safe.
That's what I said. FP&L does it all the time.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
But they're leaving it uncapped. Anyway, so the thought would be to experiment and put at least one happen to be in front of 527.
Yeah,
Good.
And see what the costs are and everything else.
2-inch or 3-inch
Yeah.
PVC
Yeah.
pipes.
Yeah.
2-inch would probably do it.
All right, let's close
Do
that,
to
and we'll put one in there, see what the costs are.
I move we do that.
Do I hear a second? Okay, let's just do
Who
that.
seconded that?
Just.
mwah,
Monica.
Mwah,
mwah.
mwah.
This way, at least we'll have a temporary situation going on. I'm a step forward. If we have to step back after it, no.
Meanwhile, guess send me that information so I can get a hold of this guy and get him out and at least let him look.
Hey, Steve, just real quick, what's your phone number?
301-440-4235.
Thanks. I'll call you.
Okay. That's something.
Mini step, but a step.
Yeah. I just, I understand where you're coming from. I just think that's
I
gonna be a
like to see, right-
disaster
Right.
sticking up in a parking lot. Somebody's gonna hit it. Why is that there? That's my,
So how are you gonna thread it through the PVC
Or
pipe?
you put water, you pressure water.
We just use
The cord?
Yeah, you use a hose.
Piece of
You can put a-
string or a piece of wire, hook it to your extension cord and just,
the most
It's
extensive
just-
part, you could
I
probably
don't
speed
have
right
such a
through
long-
it.
hang on.
you leave the.
Yeah.
Wire in.
Remember how you used to open up car doors when you locked them? You put a hanger.
Gotta have a coat hanger.
Yeah.
When you get your-
I sure do.
I'll come over and show you how to do it.
There you go.
Excuse me, I used to crawl underneath my 49 Ford
Then you'll
and
find.
plug
out.
in and do the converter so I would get some gas and start it.
Let's see.
Or roll
It'll
it
be
down the
interesting
hill.
to see what happens in California this summer. And they don't have enough power to
Trust me, yeah.
charge their cars.
Yeah.
Because the air conditioners are having brownouts.
Appreciate good suggestions from everybody.
Yeah, it gives us something to work with. We'll get there.
Excuse me, do you have an upgraded panel or does
No.
your regular panel handle it?
Every unit,
Doesn't matter.
and no, usually in their guest bedroom, they have them out.
Yeah.
A guy come in and run it, just put that out, run through the wall,
Which I did, yeah.
it's a 110 outlet,
Yeah,
like my car into a 110 outlet
okay,
with a portable charger.
okay,
It's real easy, it's real simple and it's safe.
okay.
It's not gonna be a tripping hazard.
Is it,
You know,
To you,
can't-
it is not.
GFCI
To somebody.
Sure, somebody's office, people can toss through it anytime they want it. The matter is, is it reasonable and with a prudent man, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Are we being reckless and just regarding, no. We're doing what's necessary and simple. What a prudent, legal principle, what a prudent man would do,
But,
and
yeah,
that's what we do.
let's be all prudent.
Well, that's. I mean, it's not my case.
All right, well, excuse me, we're taking a small step here to see
Yep.
what happens, experimental step.
And a large step. for everything.
Oh, it's yours. I got two of them.
I'm so glad you're here, so you
All right.
can some experience.
Yeah, well,
Well, yeah, I suggest you talk to the people that own electric cars.
I know, you're the only one that ever comes to these
Well-
meetings and informs us.
Go, since only 7 people, why not John and other just talk to the people that use it? Get some ideas from them. If you're sitting there making rules and regulations without even getting input from the people that want to have the cars.
Well, they
the
great.
people that
These,
don't have
these
the
things
cars
have
that
been
use-
advertised, every meeting is advertised,
That's it.
electric vehicle.
That's different than going, sit down in the living room and say, hey, let's talk about what would work for you. What do you do now? How do they solve it?
Yeah.
But
But what
get some
works-
ideas from them.
Tom, I certainly appreciate what you're saying,
And
but
do it on one.
what works for individuals may not work for the association.
Well,
That's the other side of the coin, you know,
but
and not everybody has the area like you do, you know, and people in the back, and people upstairs, and I mean, we still got a lot of rivers to cross.
So don't burn your bridges.
That's right.
Okay, all right, we got any other general issues?
No, not at present, but we'd want to set another meeting time.
The only thing I wanna make sure that we do is come up with a now. 2 days from now, the ultimate solution, yeah, exactly, let's.
So we had a second, do we vote on that?
Yes.
Continue to go back
Yeah.
over it again.
I second closing. the
Second,
meeting.
is it?
When are we meeting again?
We're gonna look at it right now.
July?
May I make one quick comment?
Yes, absolutely.
No pun intended, but when I unplugged from this issue, before leaving Viscaya and before coming here, we actually moved to Philadelphia and lived there for 7 months between Viscaya and here. It's a whole nother story. But I understand, and I'll go, and I could be wrong. I'll do the research and look at the statutes. My understanding is that the association has the responsibility to accommodate owners, to accommodate owners who wish to have power, to access power that they would pay for to power their car.
Exactly.
Right. And that does not mean pay for. So my point is, the association should not incur a nickel
Agree.
Yeah.
in any of the solutions that we, and I mean, technically going forward, not even the less
PVC.
than $20 or $30 cost to run that experimental 5-foot piece of conduit. It's the owners who need to, pay for any solution but we have the responsibility to create the scenario, to create the protocol that they have to follow, and then we deliver it to them and they pay for all of it. And that's just my point. So,
Yeah.
My,
Well, can we call that a?
my only aside there
prototype?
is
Yeah.
that if this is an experiment to decide what we as a committee say is appropriate, then it's not inappropriate for us to pay for that piece of
The first one.
I
25
got no
25
problem
feet
with
of
that. I mean, I don't want to thin slice it
No.
to death,
No.
but if you start getting into, solution, and I love the staging, stage 1, stage 2, stage, makes a whole lot of sense. Because there's solutions out there that we don't know about yet that will be available a year from now or 2 years from now.
Yeah.
But this post idea, we start putting in 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, there'll be a process to do it and it'll all be.
Yeah, that was never gonna be paid for by the association. The
Right.
underground PVC pipe
Okay.
is an
Yeah.
interesting possibility,
Yeah.
and I have no trouble for the
No,
association.
I like the baby step. I like the baby step, and I got no real issues with, okay, so throw in a
So
little.
25 piece
Yeah.
of,
So we'll.
25-foot piece of
prototype?
PVC,
Yeah, let's.
yeah, 20.
At the most, I don't even see it that big.
I would only go under the sidewalk. I'd make it a 4-foot.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
we won't need much, you
Right.
know,
Right.
but it probably maybe 5 feet.
Well,
Get
as long
inside the fence. We want to get inside the fence.
Yes,
Well,
So
like
there
Jim
won't be
said,
lawnmower or anything else issues.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
that
Like
is a
Jim-
close one.
Very,
That's a very close one there. It's a
Yeah.
good
so we're
experiment.
meeting July when?
July 20th at 10 a.m. which is a Thursday.
Okay, we'll be zoomed, are we zooming?
Well, we presume so, yes.
Because I may be gone.
Yeah.
again.
Chris, what happened yesterday anyway?
It was a problem with Zoom. The Zoom has, if we haven't used a computer for a period of time, they make you go through a double two-step authentication. And Catherine hadn't been on Zoom or done a Zoom meeting for over a month. And so they made her go through this step. she didn't have access to the email account that she needed to use. It was my fault. I should have anticipated that.
well, it
We
worked out.
turned the two-step authentication off for the
Ah.
future.
Oh, okay, because
Gus suggested something that I think is important, and that is
When I say
we have in the past used, it's been some time in the past, we used that free conference call line where we were using the conference phone in the meeting room. And we probably should have that number handy in case we need to use it again as
okay.
a backup.
That Zoom phone number doesn't work either?
Oh, no, if we can't get into Zoom, then the Zoom phone number is not going to be applicable.
Okay.
But the old number we used to use when we were using the conference phone, that should still be active.
I can see if I can find it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably have it somewhere. I can find it for you, John.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, you should have that in your car in case you ever have
Any
think
to
questions?
pull over somewhere.
Any other comments?
No,
Move to close.
I second
You say.
the excusing.